Hey guys, I'm Peggy from the Witch's Garden, trying to grow a cut flower garden here on my allotment in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan. Thanks for checking out my channel. Okay, so today I want to talk about my cosmos. This cosmos. Oh my goodness, of all the things that have failed in the garden, this is one that really embarrasses me. It really embarrasses me. If you read any blog or anything about starting to grow cut flowers and what you should grow and what looks nice in a bouquet, everyone recommends growing cosmos because it is so easy to grow. The flowers are lovely and they're big and they add a really nice flow to your bouquet. They're supposed to like the heat, they're supposed to be drought tolerant, and basically it's put them in the ground and they'll do their own thing, leave them alone and they'll look great, pinch them out, that's about it. This is my cosmos. Just a big crunchy mess. So what went wrong? It might be easier to list what went right, I don't know. A few things happened here. So first of all, things that were out of my control. I mean, this stuff is drought tolerant, yes, but every plant that says it's drought tolerant is drought tolerant to a degree, and 40°C heat every day over a month and a half and then lashings of rain is not good for any plant, and nothing is really going to survive that and look good. I can't completely blame the weather though, because the garden down at the bottom, which I can put a picture of for you, had some cosmos growing when I arrived, and it was beautiful and big and healthy and looked great. So this is me, not the weather. Although they obviously had their cosmos going a lot sooner in the season. If you haven't watched my last videos, I only got onto this allotment in June, so everything I put in here was late on in the season. But I was really upset with my cosmos, I really was. It started off well at home. When I put it in, it started to grow really well. But then it just failed. It just failed. So what did I do wrong? First, the spacing on these guys. This is a 90cm row that I have. 90cm row, and I have 1, 2, 3 cosmos in here, which I thought would be okay. So we're basically 30cm on the spacing. I now know that that's not okay. It's a big plant, it needs to spread out, it needs to get bushy. So when I put these in again, I'm only going to put them, I'm going to put 2 in a row instead of 3. I mean, yeah, I might get less flowers that way, but I got no flowers this way, so that's what I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to put 2 in a row instead of 3. Secondly, my choice of what I put in. Now, I'm not a huge cosmos fan, you know, I see it in the nice bouquets and stuff, and I like it in the bouquet, but as a flower itself, it's just a bit basic, you know, it's your standard 5-petal flower. And so I wanted to try growing cosmos, but I wanted to grow something that I liked more. So I grew 3 varieties here. I grew the double Dutch white, double click cranberry, and kind of pink bonbon. And I now realise that was a silly thing for me to do as my starter crop. The flowers that came, I loved the colour of them. They were a beautiful, really dark purple colour. I'll put some photos on for you guys to see. They were a beautiful dark purple colour. When the flowers came, it was rows and rows of petal. It wasn't just the 5 petals. It was kind of a little bushy flower, and it was really beautiful. But it was very small. And because it's got so many petals on it, the heads were really heavy. And because I'd planted these so close together and they just didn't have the strength, and they were lacking water, they were lacking space, they're on very, very skinny stems, and it just got to the point where the heads were too heavy for the stems. So even the ones that I cut, I was very limited in what I could use them for. The stems weren't very long, they didn't have a great stem length, and the heads tended to bend over because they were so heavy. Now, The one thing that made me feel better about all this is that I was watching a video by the guys over at Red Roof Farm, who on YouTube are on the channel You Can't Eat the Grass. Love their channel. It's great, so many tips, real honest view about what works, what doesn't, and how they make money on a flower farm, basically. And she was saying that she had the same problem, so that made me feel better. She'd grown the double click cranberry and was finding that the heads were too heavy to hold themselves up. So that makes me feel better, because she's a lot better at this than me and been doing it a lot longer than me, but seems to have the same problem. So yeah, that was the problem. I put them too close together. I chose the wrong brand type for my first attempt, and but then also where they are in the garden. Sorry, I'm now staring straight into the sun. Okay, so I put the cosmos in my garden next to my amaranth. I'm going to talk about my amaranth in next week's video, I think. It's huge. I mean, this stuff is ginormous, and I didn't know that. But it's behind the cosmos, so it doesn't shade them out. Unfortunately, if you've watched my last two videos, we've had typhoons coming through. It's typhoon season here in Japan. The typhoons have come and the amaranth has hated it. It's been knocked around everywhere. I keep coming and finding it lying down, and that means that it's been crushing my cosmos. Every time it falls down, it crushes my cosmos. Oh, my poor cosmos. You just didn't really stand a chance, did you? Last week, when I was trying to clear up after the last typhoon, I just gave up trying to keep my amaranth upright and just chopped down the two bits that kept falling onto my cosmos to try and save these. Obviously, you can see by how brown and crispy this is, that did not work. But that was something that I need to consider next year, is to know that some of the things, the sunflower held up really well. My zinnia didn't seem to mind at all the typhoons, but this amaranth just hated it and kept falling and pretty much crushing everything else in the garden. So, I mean, no flower likes being crushed, really, do they? So that was a big factor as well. Stupid amaranth. My other big mistake with this was that I didn't put on enough support netting. So when these guys started to grow, I put on my first layer of support netting at about, I don't know, 40 centimeters height. And then I didn't put another one on. Now, I put another one on for my sunflowers, and I've just put another one on for my dahlia a couple of weeks ago. And it makes a huge difference, a massive, massive difference. Now, I should have put this on this row because I also have my zinnia in this row, and they would really have appreciated, sorry, there's mosquitoes everywhere. They would really have appreciated the extra support as well. So these guys got knocked around a lot in the typhoon also, not just because of the amaranth falling on them, but they're big and tall, so they were getting knocked about everywhere too. And if I'd had that second row of support netting on, I'm sure they would have held up to the typhoon a lot better. So I know for next year that I need to be planting 2 to a row instead of 3. I need to be putting on 2 rows of support netting for them. I need to make sure that they're not going to get squished by amaranth again. And I need to change up the type of cosmos that I'm going to grow. So I've already ordered all my seeds, only one of them's arrived. I'm going to put in 3 different types of cosmos because I want to try and grow it again, you know. This is a learning experience, and I've learned that I shouldn't try and grow this one. But I need to keep trying and see, learn from this year and put that into what I do next year. So for next year, I have 3 types of cosmos going in, but it's in my pocket. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I got most of my seeds from Chiltern Seeds, and they don't have pictures on the packets, so I've had to print out pictures and stick them on. So this is the first one I'm going to grow. I'm not sure if you can see that because of the shadows today. And this is an apricotta. So this is more of the basic petaled cosmos. So I'm going to put in this, I'm putting in the same one but in white, and then I'm going to put in a slightly fancier one, which is a cupcake, but it's still very basic. It's basically that with a cup around it, so it looks like a little cupcake, which has a slight pink hue to it, but it's a much simpler, you know, it's not the big double click showy ones, and these should get a lot bigger. Now this is the other thing, I pinched my cosmos, and it gave me a lot of branches and therefore a lot more flowers, or it would have if any of them hadn't been singed to death. Yuck. nearly all flower farming things I can find say pinch your cosmos, pinch your cosmos. And then I found one that said, don't pinch your cosmos because it makes the flowers smaller. And these flowers were small. So I'm really not sure what to do next year, because you have so much information saying pinch, 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 and then one that says don't pinch, give small flowers. I might do that as an experiment next year. As I say, I'm going to put in just 2 per row, and I've got 3 types, so I'm just going to put in 2 of each plant and see what happens. But I might pinch one and not pinch the other and see if it has any effect on the flower size. Because, you know, the ones that I see of other people growing these, the flowers are nice, big statement flowers, I guess. So yeah, I might pinch half and not pinch the other half. But that's the plan next year. 2 layers of netting, 2 per row, and a much more basic flower. And I'm going to hope that that works. I hope it works. I mean, you can see just how sorry for itself. This is just crispy and dry. I mean, this stuff is literally breaking in my hand. It's like straw. But then this one at the front does have some new buds coming on it. Now, it has cooled down significantly. We're now on the 2nd of October, and it has cooled down a lot. So I was coming today just to cut all of this back, but the stuff at the back, which is arching over, doesn't look anywhere near as brown as the other. You know, you can see brown stuff and then green stuff. So I might try and leave some of this in, just cut back all the obviously dead stuff, and that'll give the other things a bit more space to grow. I mean, you can see how many buds it had on it. It's just, it died a death before they had the chance to flower. So I'm going to work my way through this, cut out what is obviously dead, and see what I can salvage, and see if anything might actually come after all. You don't get much crispier than that. So for the ones that I'm not cutting out completely, I'm going to cut out any side seams, any side shoots that are coming out that aren't actually producing flowers or that have gone too far, and really only leave the few healthy branches on there so that the plant can focus all its energy on the healthy bits. Just give it a hard prune and a big dead head, and see if that helps at all. Okay, so that's me cut back everything that was dead, which was pretty much everything. And then I have tried to retrofit a little bit extra support netting in here. It's probably too late, but you know, it's worth doing. I have the net, so I may as well try. Some of this stuff's really still green. A lot of this is the double Dutch white, so I might still get some of that. But you can see how much this has been knocked around by the typhoon if I show you. Okay, so here's where it grows up nice and straight and strong, and then the typhoon hits and it literally starts to go horizontal. And you can see all the flowers are actually growing up from the horizontal now stem. This one as well. You can see, oh, there's me, hello, where the stem comes up, and then all of these bits are kind of growing out horizontally from it. So I've hooked them up as best as I can on the netting, and let's see if they actually do anything. I mean, there's quite a lot of buds still on there. You can see these. I mean, there is some budding happening. These ones still look a lot greener. This one too. I mean, there are some tiny buds still. Oops. On the double click cranberries, but they don't look anywhere near as healthy. Should really deadhead these ones as well. So, I mean, I might still get something. Maybe, look, there's one flower. We have a flower. This is the double Dutch white. So here's hoping that we can salvage something and have a few at the end of the season. Okay, so yeah, I am horribly embarrassed by the state of my zinnia. Not my zinnia, my cosmos. But lessons learned, I guess, and here's hoping we get a better crop next year. If you have any advice for me, please, I obviously need help. Leave your comments below if you've had any better success, or if your double click cranberries were really bad as well. Make me feel better and let me know about it. If you like these videos, click the subscribe button below. We're moving on to thinking about next year's garden and planting that up and seeing what we've learned from this year and what I'm going to change in next year's garden. So thanks for watching this far and checking out the channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye.